You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. CBS Sports took a stab at the 16 teams with the best chances of making the college football playoff this year. Now, keep in mind, it's not a 16-team playoff, right? We know it's going to be a 14-team playoff. But they looked at the 16 teams that could make the 12, I think it's at 14. I'm sorry, the 12 team, the expanded field of 12, the 12. And there was a couple of things that stood out to me. And I think maybe this exercise was just interesting because it's the first time I've really considered it with the understanding of like the auto bids, for your conference champion and the auto bid for the G5 representative and then your at-large spots. So like some of these aren't going to be a surprise. And by the way, like this isn't Vegas odds, or it's just their opinion at CBS Sports looking at, okay, based on the new rules, right, of how the bid allocation is going to work and teams with what they have returning and their schedule and all that sort of stuff. Like, keep in mind, somebody from this new look Big 12 is going to get an auto bid to the playoff. Like with Colorado and Arizona State and Utah, like going into the Big 12, like somebody's going to win that league and get an auto bid. Texas and Oklahoma aren't going to be there anymore. They're going to be in the SEC, so it changes that whole dynamic. So it's interesting. Anyway, so here I'll just run through the 16 teams. Georgia, they had at the top. I don't think that's going to be a surprise to anybody. Georgia, Ohio State, Utah with the third best odds. Again, remember, Utah in the new Big 12 with Cam Rising coming back from an injury as a super senior. You don't have to go through Texas or Oklahoma. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? I don't think many people would look and go, man, Utah is going to make the playoff. That's one of my top three best odds. But it kind of makes sense because they got a great shot. They've been such a consistent program in the Pac-12. Now they move into the Big 12 without Texas and Oklahoma, and you go, yeah, Utah makes sense. They've got Clemson at 4. And remember, Clemson now with Florida State last year was Florida State's year because all those dudes that came back are gone. Jordan Travis is gone and Keon Coleman and now Braden Fisk and Jared Verse. Like Florida State just got gutted from that great team. So Clemson with Cade Klubnik is the team that makes the most sense in that ACC. And remember, you've got like Cal and Stanford joining the ACC now as well. It's weird that that's going to be expanded, but I mean, who's your biggest challenge? Louisville? Miami? It makes sense. Like someone's getting an auto bid into this playoff. The G5 auto bid? Liberty. Yes. I mean, they're going to run the table in Conference USA, and they're going to be they're going to be very likely the G5. So because they're getting an auto bid, that's the fifth. They put it as number 5 on this list. Again, CBS Sports listing the 16 teams most likely with the best opportunity to earn a bid into the new expanded 12-team college football playoff. So 6 is Oregon, even with Bo Nix gone, and now they're going in the Big 10. That one caught me off guard a little bit. 7 is Notre Dame, followed by Texas, Ole Miss, Penn State. 11 is Alabama. And I think that caught my eye just because when was the last time we saw a list of like playoff teams and Alabama was 11th? I mean, usually it's Georgia, Bama, Ohio State. Bama, Ohio State, Georgia. Ohio State, Georgia, Bama, whatever. To see Bama down at 11 tells you, like, yeah, I mean, they may still make a 12-team expanded 12-team playoff, but it ain't what it was, and we all know that. Missouri at 12, defending champ Michigan at 13, Arizona, again, another team into that new look Big 12. Oklahoma State at 15, again, in that Big 12 without Texas and Oklahoma. And then they have Oklahoma at 16. So the 16 teams with maybe the best chance of earning a spot in a new 12-team playoff. Again, real quickly, Georgia, Ohio State, Utah, Clemson, Liberty, Oregon, Notre Dame, Texas, Ole Miss, Penn State, Alabama, Missouri, Michigan, Arizona, Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma. So you noticed no LSU on that list. And the weird part of it is, do I think LSU has a great chance to finish this season as one of the top 16 teams in college football? Yes, I do. But remember, the way this is who's got the best chance of making the 12-team playoff. Well, you see so many Big 12 teams in there because somebody in the Big 12 is going to earn an auto bid. And while it's very likely, I think we would all assume Utah right now, how do you discredit Arizona or Oklahoma State at this point? Because if they're going to be good teams in a lesser league and they have a chance to win it, then they're going to be on the precipice of an at-large bid. When you look at a team like LSU, you still have to play Bama and Ole Miss, like the same teams that you had to go through this past year. So Oklahoma rotates on your schedule. In theory, you could end up in an SEC championship game. So it's just more challenging when you're looking up at Georgia and Bama and Ole Miss and Missouri. I don't know that Missouri is going to follow up the season they had a year ago, by the way, just as a random aside. Texas in the league now as well. Oklahoma in the league now as well. I don't think Oklahoma is going to be on the door. I think Oklahoma's going to have a tough transition. But anyway, it's 6 SEC teams and Bama down at number 11 on this list, which was striking to see. I think part of the reason I wanted to talk about this today is not just to read someone else's list. What struck me is it's going to force me, I think, and all of us to recalibrate how we look at college football, right? Because when we would look at, okay, who's got the best chance to make a 4-team playoff? In the past, we were looking at this really concentrated small group of teams of who do we think could go undefeated or have one loss. That was the conversation. Well, now the list is expanded. It's not just who's going to go undefeated or have one loss. Those are the givens. That's the Georgia, the Ohio State, at the top of the list. It's who's going to win their league, because every Power 5 conference champion, or Power 4 conference champion now, and the G5 representative get an auto bid. So in some respect, that's kind of like a bid stealer. Yeah, in the past, the highest ranked G5 got a New Year's 6 bid, but now you're talking about taking one of 12 precious playoff spots. And that's a very, very different feel, which could essentially steal a spot from someone who is a top 10 or 12 team in the country that just isn't their conference champion. You're the third best SEC team, but you're not getting a bid because of the bid steal that's going to go on from a crummy Big 12 or a G5 or a 2-loss ACC champion that's going to get it. So it's just all about, it's almost like, remember when the NFL went to 17 games and we had to get used to saying 10-7 instead of 10-6? We all knew in our brain 9-7 meant you were going to be right on the borderline maybe of a wild card spot. Well, is 9-7 more like 9-8? Or is 9-7 more like 10-7? It was just going to take recalibrating our brain and how we looked at different records and schedules and stuff. And it's going to be the same now with a 12-team college football playoff, that the way we look at records and schedules and probabilities, it's all going to change because the postseason and the desire and the end game has all changed as well. So it was an interesting look as it all played out. Utah was the one that caught my eye. Utah is the one that really, because they gave Utah the third best odds of making the college football playoff. You wouldn't think it, but when you spell it out like that, it makes a ton of sense, man. The Big 12 is going to get an auto bid. Cam Rising's back as a super senior for his 6th year, coming off the ACL injury. If you're Utah and you go win a Big 12 where you don't have to clear Texas and Oklahoma, you're in the playoff. It's a really good chance that happens. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.